I, of course, went over the weekend to Garissa and to Saldig, which is a village 200 kilometers beyond Garissa. And my piece, which was published a day late, starts with a quote by Bruce Lee, the Kung Fu King, who said, "Life is wide, limitless. There is no border, no frontier." Jack Kerouac, who wrote the book On the Road, in which the protagonists, Sal Paradise and his friend Dean Moriarty, crisscross America. And Dean said, "Sal, we got to go and never stop going till we get there." Where are we going, man? I don't know, but we got to go. My friend Abdullahi Sheikh had been telling me we should go on a road trip to Garissa and considerably beyond. The Northern Frontier District has always had a hold on my imagination. Abdullahi said we'll go with Simba Guled, who's the Frontier Counties Development Council CEO, and the former Deputy Chief Qadi, Rashid Ali Soyan. I thought to myself, if I'm going to see what's going on up close and personal, I couldn't go with a better and more connected crew. We drove 366 kilometers from Nairobi to Garissa, put down our bags and drove another 200 kilometers close to the Dadaab refugee camp. The last 70 kilometers were off-road. We arrived at a village called Saldik. I drank fresh camel milk and ate an evidently recently slaughtered goat. It was a very beautiful experience. I've read many books about various explorers who spent their time with pastoralists and nomads, and they always write about a graciousness and an old world courtliness with which you're received, which is something you don't find anymore. I watched the sunset and we arrived back at 9 p.m. and on our return leg we probably passed about 5 vehicles. Garissa definitely had a buzz and a spring in its step. I tend to find statistics can tell you so much, but kicking the tires tells you much more. Are people busy, or are there many folks standing about not doing anything? How busy are the motorcycle folks? On all counts, Garissa has the big momentum. Of course, if you look at the statistics, Isiolo, Samburu, Lamu, Marsabit, Tana River, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, West Pokot are the counties that are lagging. In fact, all these counties constitute about 2.5% of the total county GDP. Abdullahi said to me each camel costs about $1,000, and then added that there are about 650,000 camels in Garissa County and 2.5 million in the Northern Frontier District. I said that's $650 million in Garissa. I have not drilled into this, but it would be interesting to know how the livestock economy fits into our GDP methodology. The point is, there is a low base effect and it's a consequence of marginalization. It is also worth pointing out that 18 of the 20 most affected countries by climate change are in Africa, and the Horn of Africa is seen as the epicenter. Forage is being dried out and reduced, and it's not clear to me that the ground can support much more of a livestock economy. Therefore, these economies in the north will have to pivot some. Simba said to me, devolution has brought much needed liquidity. As I stood in that village on the edge of the Kenyan frontier and listened carefully to these folks, I kept thinking these are resilient people, and we now appreciate that human capital is the most valuable capital of all. The Horn of Africa has been characterized as an ungoverned space. Ungoverned spaces are defined as zones that lay beyond the reaches of the central government. The prevailing view holds that the more remote they are, the more vulnerable they become to the lure of violent radicalization and extremism. Prime Minister Abiy is keen to exploit the gas in the Ogaden. If he seeks with regional leadership to seriously stabilize and not just pacify the Somali-speaking part of the Horn, Somalia, Ethiopia, then I predict the Horn will exert a meaningful pull effect on this part of Kenya. It is worth noting that US airstrikes in Somalia have, however, flown off the charts. People need to pay attention to the fact that there is this massive war going on, said Brittany Brown to the New York Times. The United States estimates that the Shabab has about 5,000 to 7,000 fighters in Somalia, but the group's ranks are fluid. A State Department official, citing interviews from Shabab deserters, said the number of hardcore ideologues may be as few as 500. It could be there is some well-thought-out strategy behind all of this, Mr. Schwartz added, but I really doubt it. We go after the network when the network presents itself, whether as a single node or a concentration, he said. We've developed intelligence and are sussing out the relationship between the leadership and those being led, between those being led and those being trained or recruited or massed for an attack. We understand the network better than we have in the years past, General Olson said. I concluded by saying this pacification, or is it a decapitation strategy, has not borne results. This is a photograph of the sun setting as we drove back on the dirt road back to the main road that took us back to Garissa. This is the road to Saldik, the dirt road. Garissa is located on the Tana River. Most of its inhabitants are ethnic Somali. Livestock production is a significant part of the economy. Hot, semi-arid climate. This is our lunch that we enjoyed, camel, milk and goat. This is a map of Kenya so you can situate where we were. And after all, this is camel country. And there were plenty of camels about.